Resident Evil is on a hefty comeback. It makes me super happy to say that. Now, they lost their way in the 2000s and the 2010s, but starting with RE7, Capcom seems to finally know what the community wants again. Welcome to Chaos Gaming, everybody. Today we're going to go over everything we know about RE8, Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil Village. Yes, you let me know in the comment section if you think Capcom is going to keep this winning streak going. Drop a like, make sure you share the page around and turn on those notifications. And for starters, Resident Evil Village is the 8th main installment of the series, and it will be a direct continuation of RE7. Now, RE7 dropped in 2017, and it dramatically changed the formula up. It made things on a much smaller scale, and it introduced a whole lot of new characters and concepts. RE7 was almost entirely disconnected from the established Resident Evil lore, but RE8 is going to be bringing it back. You can see a parallel between RE8 and RE5. Much like RE7, Resident Evil 4, the best one out of the entire series, if you ask me, was almost entirely disconnected from the rest of the series. But then, Resident Evil 5 tried to take its themes and mechanics and tie them into a larger universe. Now it seems like RE8 is going to be doing the same thing. Resident Evil 7 was a mostly isolated story, no ties to the larger universe, but RE8, or RE Village, whatever, is going to make an attempt to tie the events of Resident Evil 7 into established characters and themes like the Umbrella Corporation and Raccoon City. Longtime series character Chris Redfield has already been shown off in the Resident Evil Village trailers, and I am positive he's not going to be in... I don't think he's going to be the only reoccurring character to appear. I don't. The trailers also said his story comes to a close, but it's unclear if he is Chris Redfield or Ethan Winters. But regardless, there's going to be a big death in Resident Evil 8. We just don't know who it's going to be. Now, in terms of gameplay, RE8 is going to be a continuation of RE7, so it's going to be played in first person. The game is set a few years after the conclusion of Resident Evil 7, so you'll be back in the first-person shoes of Ethan Winters as he is brought to this mysterious village by Chris Redfield. There's you a tie-in. Not a whole lot is known about the story or the backstory yet, just the setup. The gameplay will be carried over from RE7, but with more action than before. Now, I really want to stress, more action before, they have to be careful. Because when Resident Evil and Capcom decided to go and be an action series instead of a survival horror series, that's where things got bad. Now, combat in RE7 was kind of suboptimal, as you didn't always have a lot of resources for combat. However, Village looks like it's going to be giving you more ammo, more weapon options, while still maintaining the slower pace of the last game, which, to me, is a good middle ground compromise. I know people are always skeptical of Resident Evil adding more action to the mix, including myself. It's totally fair, but those who forgot, Resident Evil 4 managed to hit the sweet spot between action and horror. So Capcom clearly knows how to do it. And if they're trying to make RE8 closer to RE4 in terms of action and pacing, I'm down for it. And speaking of Resident Evil 4, the inventory system in Village is going to be similar to that one, which should make some of you old school fans happy. There's even going to be a merchant that you can buy and sell stuff to, just like in Resident Evil 4. And then you can use your currency to upgrade your weapons, buy various items, things you may be struggling to find around the map. The more I see it, the more Village is looking like a first-person Resident Evil 4, which again, I'm completely for. Now let's talk about the setting. It is obviously set in a village, although not a whole lot is known about it yet. From early reports and gameplay footage, it's going to play kind of like a Metroidvania, where you go from location to location, and you can kind of move around as much as you like, but it's not quite an open world. The game encourages exploration once you enter new locations, but the map itself isn't going to be super crazy big or anything like that. If you've played Metroidvania games recently, you probably know what I'm trying to say here. As it stands right now, the game is set to launch on May 7th of this year. It is right around the corner, and it will be available on all sets. PS4, Xbox One, PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC. But what if you want to try the game out before committing to a purchase? Well, you're in luck, because Capcom is going to release a demo this spring, which could be any time. And you guys remember when demos used to be an expected thing? But anyway, it's a video for another day. There has already been a brief demo for the PS5. But every platform is going to get an early playtest in the spring, probably around mid-April if I had to guess, a few weeks before the official launch. It's a beta, but in case you don't want to wait, we already got 30 minutes of gameplay footage earlier this year, so there's plenty of things to look at, which you're probably looking at on this video right now. Now, Capcom has said a few times that Resident Evil 8 is going to be incredibly violent. That shouldn't shock anybody, because Resident Evil is a pretty violent series, but even by RE standards, this one is gearing up to sound very intense, which I'm all about. The game has reportedly already been censored for Japanese release, cutting out a lot of the blood and dismemberment, so you can expect plenty of that stuff once the game launches. Now, there is one wild card, okay? Multiplayer. Yes, Resident Evil Village is going to have multiplayer, and from the looks of it, it's surprisingly fleshed out. It's not a tacked-on mode. It's not just a gimme mode. RE8's multiplayer is called RE-verse, but it's not going to be directly connected to the RE8 campaign. Instead, it's going to be a 6-person deathmatch where you can play as various Resident Evil characters, but once you die, you can respawn as one of the iconic bioweapons from the franchise. Now, the details are a little unclear right now, but from the looks of it, RE-verse will be its own standalone multiplayer experience, which the strategy there is they don't have to end it when RE8 is done. It's something like Warzone that can just keep going from title to title. But if you buy RE8, you will get this included for free alongside the game, which is absolutely awesome. So if you want to play this without buying RE8, I'm not sure why you would do that, but you will have an option. So that is everything right now we know about RE8, RE Village. It's set to launch on May 7th. Hopefully it comes on all Xboxes, all PlayStations, and the PC via Steam. Pre-orders are available now, and like I said, that demo should be available probably within the next month or so if you want to give it an early try before you actually spend all your big bucks on the final game. I'm excited. Like I said, if they keep that sweet spot of RE7, they can add some more action. Just don't make this an action first-person game. It needs to remain a survival horror game first. You guys let me know what you think. Are you excited for it? Are you going to get it? And I'll see you soon.